You've been told to chase success, applause, likes, validation, but what if I told you that everything you're chasing is keeping you from the person you're meant to become? Real power isn't loud. Real peace doesn't post. And real success? It happens in silence. This isn't a motivational video. This is a mirror, a journey back to yourself. A path walked not with a crowd, but with conviction. A story not of fame, but of inner fire. So if you're ready to stop performing and start becoming, then this video is for you. Let's walk alone. There comes a moment in every life when the cheering stops. The applause fades, the noise, the likes, the followers, the attention dies down, and in that silence, you meet someone you've been avoiding for a long, long time, yourself. It's not a tragedy. It's not loneliness. It's a return, a sacred return to the source of your strength, a reintroduction to your own soul. In a world addicted to validation, where every moment is measured by visibility, silence feels like failure. But the Stoics knew, silence is not the absence of success. It is the beginning of it. Because when the world goes quiet, when the crowd stops watching, only you remain, your thoughts, your fears, your truth. This is where the real journey begins, not the one others can see, but the one that defines who you truly are. We're conditioned to perform, smile for the camera, prove our worth, be liked, be seen, be accepted. But what if the path to greatness wasn't through more attention, but through less? What if the strength you're looking for isn't in the noise, but in the quiet? Walking alone is not punishment, it is freedom. It's the sacred act of retreating, not from life, but from distraction. You step away from the scrolling, the comparison, the constant need to prove, and for the first time in a long time, you hear something powerful, your own voice. Not the version shaped by algorithms, not the one sculpted by other people's expectations, but the one that's been waiting quietly, faithfully within you. At first, it's faint, like a whisper, but the more silence you embrace, the clearer it becomes. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He wasn't speaking of escape, he was speaking of return, not isolation, but alignment. Because walking alone isn't abandonment, it's awakening, it's leaving behind the noise, to walk toward what is true, and what is true rarely shouts. It doesn't need to. It waits for those willing to sit in silence long enough to hear it. The Stoics didn't walk alone because they hated people. They walked alone because they wanted to be whole, before they gave themselves to the world. In solitude, they weren't weakened, they were refined. They weren't escaping life, they were becoming ready for it. So ask yourself, when was the last time you turned down the volume? When was the last time you paused and simply listened, not to the world, but to you? In the silence, you don't find emptiness, you find clarity, you find intention, you find direction. And once you've heard that voice, you never need a crowd. Again, let this be your first step, not toward noise, but toward your true self. Walk into the silence and begin. To rise alone is to rise without applause, to rise when no one is watching, no one is clapping, no one is even aware that you're trying. And that's exactly what makes it powerful. We idolize greatness when it's finished. We love the highlight reel. But what we forget is where that greatness was built. In silence, in obscurity, in darkness. The early alarms that pulled you out of warm beds, the workouts done when no one cheered, the parties skipped, the books read by lamplight, the empty gym, the blank page. This is where greatness begins, not in visibility, but in consistency. The Stoics never asked to be seen, they asked to be true. Seneca said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Not because ignorance is noble, but because detachment is powerful. The freedom to grow begins with the courage to be misunderstood. Discipline isn't built when people are watching. It's built when no one is. When you show up anyway. The gym, with no mirrors, becomes your monastery. The journal becomes your quiet truth. The 5 a.m. alarm becomes your silent contract with purpose. There's no audience, no validation, no good job, just you and your mission. You keep going not because someone told you to, but because something within you refuses to stop. That's the real rise, not dramatic, not flashy, just quiet and unbreakable. It's lonely, yes, but that loneliness is not a curse. It's a furnace. It burns away the weakness, the ego, the need to be admired. And what remains? Strength, stillness, conviction. Rising in the dark is a sacred act, because it means your why is bigger than their eyes. You sacrifice comfort for character. You choose growth over gossip. You leave behind who you were, because you're loyal to who you're becoming. And one day, when life throws its worst at you, you won't break. You'll remember. You've already stood alone. You've already risen in the dark. That's what made you. To win alone is to discover that peace is the prize, not praise. The Stoics never asked, "Will they admire me?" They asked, "Is this right?" And that changes everything. Victory is not about beating others. It's about conquering yourself, your doubt, your impulse, your fear. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." In that single line lies the secret of real freedom, because when you crave less, you suffer less, and when you need less from others, you gain more from within. When you win alone, you don't need to tell anyone. You don't need to post it, prove it, perform it. You've already proven it to the only one who matters, you. You stayed disciplined when no one was watching. You chose virtue over vanity. You endured setbacks, delays, doubt, and kept going. That is victory, that is mastery, and it's silent. In real life, it might look like saying no to a night out so you can build your future. Turning off your phone to read, reflect, or write. Waking up early, not because it's trendy, but because your mission demands it. You no longer need external rewards, because you've built something unshakable inside. You're no longer chasing the world, you're aligning with your values. This isn't a loud win, but it's a lasting one. To win without validation is to understand that the truest success leaves no trail of noise, only peace. You don't walk into a room needing to be known. You walk in knowing who you are. It's not about being the loudest voice. It's about being the clearest one. And that clarity, earned in solitude, is louder than any shout. When the world chases image, you choose integrity. When others fight to be seen, you focus on becoming. Your strength isn't reactive, it's rooted, and the reward isn't applause. It's the ability to live with yourself, fully, honestly, and without regret. To win alone is to trade the addiction of being admired for the liberation of being whole. This kind of winning isn't celebrated, but it's remembered by the one who matters most, your future self. That version of you is watching, not the audience, not the timeline, not the followers, just you on the other side of effort, waiting. So win not for their cheers, win for the peace that comes from alignment. Win for the night when you lay your head down and need no applause to sleep well. True winning is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It echoes in the way you speak, live, choose, and continue. And one day, you'll look back, not with pride in the eyes of others, but with pride in the person who stayed the course when no one was watching. That is what it means to win without validation. That is what it means to master your mission without needing permission. Let the world scroll, let them chase, let them perform. You build, you stay, you win, quietly, fully, freely. Solitude is not exile, it is elevation. To the untrained mind, solitude feels like loneliness, but to the disciplined mind, it is a sacred temple of clarity. The Stoics didn't fear being alone, they welcomed it. Seneca retreated not to hide from the world, but to sharpen himself for it. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations, not for others, but to purify his soul. In solitude, you remember who you are. You're no longer pulled by algorithms, expectations, or performance. You breathe. You listen. You return. You walk not with the crowd, but with your conscience. And the more time you spend with that voice, the more powerful it becomes. It challenges you, holds you accountable, strengthens you. Solitude isn't about being cut off from the world. It's about being connected to something deeper. So when the world distracts, return to stillness. When others seek noise, seek depth. Because in solitude, you meet the only ally you truly need. The disciplined, steady, unwavering voice inside. Most people run from being alone because they're afraid of what they'll find. But you learn to stay. You stay through the discomfort, through the boredom, through the inner noise, until it quiets. And then, a signal, your real thoughts, your real values, your real priorities. Solitude becomes a mirror, brutally honest but beautifully necessary. It doesn't flatter, it clarifies. You begin to notice what drains you, what feeds you, what matters, and what doesn't. This awareness is your edge, because while others are influenced by everything around them, you're guided by what's within you. Solitude becomes your training ground. Like a warrior sharpening their blade, you sharpen your will, your discipline, your clarity. You become harder to distract, harder to shake, harder to manipulate. Because you've spent time with the one person no one can take away from you, yourself. This kind of power isn't loud. It doesn't need affirmation. It moves quietly, but leaves deep impact. And when you return to the world, you return stronger. You speak less, but mean more. You act with purpose, not impulse. Solitude is not a void, it is a forge, where weakness is burned away and strength is born. Choose solitude, not as an escape from life, but as a return to it. Return to the root. Return to the stillness. Return to the truth. And in that silence, become The Stoics believed in a sacred space inside you, what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel. It is your fortress, not built of stone, but of values, of principles, of discipline. It is the part of you that does not shake when life does. The world outside is unpredictable. People disappoint. Plans fail. Fortune fades. But inside, if you build it right, you are unshakable. Every time you choose calm over chaos, that wall gets stronger. Every time you act with honor when no one sees, another stone is laid. Your routines, your reflections, your consistency, these are your architects. The inner citadel is not built in comfort. It's built in moments of pressure, adversity, and choice. When you resist the urge to react, when you do the hard thing because it's the right thing. And when the storm comes, and it always will, you will not collapse because you did the work. In silence, in solitude, alone, but never against yourself. This is the Stoic way. Let others perform. Let others seek praise. You build, you rise, you walk alone. The inner citadel is your anchor when the world spins. It's the voice that reminds you who you are when others try to define you. It is strength, but not of muscle. It is strength of mind, strength of spirit. Think of it like this. When life throws fire at you, the citadel doesn't burn. When people betray you, the citadel remains loyal. When chaos surrounds you, the citadel stays still. It is not arrogance, it is self-possession. It is not pride, it is presence. You've met people like this, calm under pressure, quietly powerful. They're not lucky, they're prepared by years of showing up for themselves when no one was watching. Their strength was earned in early mornings, in disciplined choices, in the thoughts they examined, in the emotions they mastered. That kind of strength doesn't rust. It doesn't fade, because it was never for show. It was for survival. It was for service. And now it's yours to build. Each decision you make adds to the architecture. Each moment of integrity adds a pillar. Each sacrifice for principle adds a foundation stone. You are the builder, you are the material, you are the vision. And when life tests you with heartbreak, failure, betrayal, loss, you will bend, but not break. Because you've built something eternal. The inner citadel is your gift to yourself, not made for the applause of today, but for the battles of tomorrow. So build it well, build it slowly, build it honestly, brick by brick, day by day, in silence, in solitude, in power. This is not the loud path, but it is the lasting one. And when all else is gone, money, followers, fame, fortune, what remains is what you've built within. So let the world rush, let it scream, let it spiral. You walk into your citadel and you remain unmoved, unshaken, unbreakable. If this message reached you, it wasn't by accident. Something in you is ready to stop performing, ready to start becoming. So before you return to the noise, take 10 minutes, no music, no phone, just you, and ask yourself, what am I building? In silence. Because if the world can't see it yet, good. That means it's real, unshaped by trends, untouched by ego, built not for attention, but for legacy. And if this hits something deep, if a part of you whispered, "This is me," then don't walk away casually. Subscribe, not just to this channel, subscribe to your next level. We're building something rare here, unshakable, undeniable, untouchable. You won't find hype here, but you'll find hunger, you'll find clarity, you'll find your edge sharpened, one word at a time. So hit that button. Leave a comment with your silent win, big or small. It's not about proving anything, it's about owning it. The next video won't just be content, it'll be a mirror and you'll be ready. Walk silently, win loudly, and never stop building. This is the Stoic way. Welcome to your discipline.